Okay. Time in. Okay, I'm going to call the meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And Michelle, can I have a roll call, please?
Sure. Joe?
Here.
Cindy?
Here.
Pam?
Here.
Cheryl? Jeff?
Here.
Laura?
Here.
Nancy?
Here.
Okay, next on the agenda is correspondence.
Yes, we have one piece of correspondence. It's from the State of Michigan Public Service Commission for a public hearing.
Thank you. We reserve this time for public comment. Do we have anybody on for public comment, Michelle?
No public comment.
Sorry about that. Under new business, we have 5.1 public hearing 2022 to 2024 community development block funds.
Like to make a motion to open the public meeting up at 9:31. Support.
We have a motion and support. Any discussion on opening the public hearing? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Okay, Cindy?
Okay, so I don't know how many of you new folks or even the returning elected officials had a chance to read the packet that Shelley sent to you. It pretty much gives you all the information on what the community development block grant funds are, but they have different rounds of funding periodically. We're in one right now that will end in 2021, I believe, which will actually go into 2022. But these particular funds are for the years 2022 to 2024. The funds are set aside to assist low to moderate income folks in projects that will assist them in areas of the municipality. Our actual area has increased somewhat this year from years past. They've included it now going down the bike path on the railroad tracks there at Wilson Road to Saginaw, Saginaw down to Vienna, across Vienna to the city limits, and then follows the city limits. So we've increased that area a little bit. These funds, like I say, they're earmarked for the low to moderate income, seniors, folks that are disabled. Some of the projects that we've done in the past is we've provided the senior center with a generator. I believe today they're getting delivery of the new bus that we ordered just a few months ago. With this round that we're in right now with that funding, we've assisted in utility payments for the senior center because primarily the individuals that utilize the senior center are considered low to moderate income. A couple other projects we've done is we've paved a couple of our bike path parking lots. We have a sidewalk project that's going to be done here, I believe, next year. We've also, for last year, this year, and next year, we have smoke detectors that we're purchasing that will be handed out at the senior center free of charge. And then there was a program at our arts center that assisted with seniors and individuals with disabilities. So the supplies and teacher funding comes from money that we set aside for that particular project. So we've done some really, really good things with this money this year. And I think it's because our area has gotten a little bit larger. Our total right now allocated funds will be $111,917. Of that money, we are allowed to use 30% of that for what they call public service projects. Public service projects would be like the program at the art center, the smoke detectors, the assistance with utility bills and salaries for the senior center. So those are specific, but we can use $33,575 of that $111,917 for those public service projects. And to give you an idea of what some of those projects that we can do, in page 4 of your CDBG packet lists construction projects and public service projects. So I don't know if you had a chance to take a look at that, but because this particular round of money came to us very quickly. In fact, it came a day after, I believe it was our October meeting, and they want all this paperwork in by this Friday. That was the reason that we needed this special hearing. But in doing that, we tried to think of projects, in the office of where we could use this money. So we came up with some. Ditching. We've looked at ditching on possibly the north side of Wilson Road from that bike path, which is the railroad there where it crosses Wilson, to Saginaw Street. We looked at doing ditching from the bike path on Wilson Road to Neff. We are looking at possibly with public service money. The senior center has a medical closet where we could buy supplies such as adult diapers, gauze pads, things that people come in, some of the seniors, the adult underwear, they're very, very expensive. And so a lot of times they can't afford that. So we could purchase items for that medical closet. We have the senior center operations, which would be utilities or salaries or fringes. Usually we use it for utilities. We've also looked at replacing the ADA automatic doors there at the township on the east side of the building. We did just put some money into them because the controllers were bad and we've had issues, but we think maybe in a couple of years, it might be something that we need to look at replacing the entire door.
Yeah.
And then the last project that we could think of in talking with the senior center director is the front part of the senior center parking lot and the drive that goes into it is in need of repair. So we're looking at doing some crack repair, sealing that entire area, and then painting the stripes again. So cost-wise, what we've come up with in talking and looking at other projects we've done in the past and talking to folks that could give us a rough idea, doing the ditching from the bike path to Neff Road on Wilson, just on the north side, we'd be looking at about $30,000. Doing the ditching the entire length of Wilson Road from the bike path, railroad tracks to Saginaw would actually be $150,000, which I about fell over with that, but it's because there are so many houses on that. See, what would it be? The east side of Wilson there, each one of those, I was not aware, but each driveway, they have to take out the culvert and replace that. And there's like 38 driveways in that one section. So and it goes from like a 2-day operation up to a 7-day. So that's why the cost on that. The senior.
Wait a minute, Cindy, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I thought you said from the bike path to Saginaw.
Yeah, that would be $150,000.
But
if we just do the bike path to Neff on Wilson, we'd be only looking at maybe $30,000 because there's a lot more farm fields there. When you get from Neff to Saginaw, that's where the majority of the houses are.
you're talking about the north side of the road then, right? Yes. Okay. I'm sorry. I hadn't turned around. Okay.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Okay.
You're fine,
So
I'm sorry.
then, that's all right. So then the medical closet supplies and the senior center operations, we could do one or both. But we would only have the $33,575 to spend on both or one of those. Replacing the automatic doors at the township would be approximately 20,000. And then to repair the cracks, seal and paint that front part of the senior center parking lot and the drive, we're thinking is gonna be right around 40,000. So, and I know there was one question yesterday, a good example, when we have money left over, like we had a couple of $1,000s left over from the senior center van that we're getting delivery on today. We had nothing else to put that money towards. But if we had, like, let's say the repair of the parking lot only came to 35,000 and we had 5,000 left over, we could put that towards, say, the ditching, if we approve the ditching, which would give us another 5,000, which might only get us, maybe 50 or 100 foot, but it's something that we could use in our township. But if there's no projects left, or there's like, we couldn't put any more money into the smoke detectors or the utilities at the senior center or the art programs for the disabled this time, because we'd already allocated the amount of money that we could for those projects. So that money then went back to the other municipalities, and whoever needed it, they would look at their project and say, here, we do have a little bit of extra money we can give you. So that's what happens with money that's left over. And we try, we've done, there's been very few times that we've given money back. So I think.
So we want to use all of it.
Well, if we can, absolutely.
Yes.
And like I say, I think in the past, we've done an excellent job in doing that. To come $2,000 into that 15 passenger senior center van, I think is pretty good. We got the lettering done on the outside, that will be done. And this van is, it's got everything on it that it needs. So that's where we're at. And I don't know if anybody else has any other projects that they can think of, or there's, there was a couple of years that it was brought, and I'll explain this too, that can we not put some of this money, say, towards the sports complex? You could, but what would happen is we would have to go to the individual teams and have their parents fill out a income survey. And so that team would have to have 51% low income parents for them to be eligible for anything, which would be help with uniforms or whatever. So some of the stuff is, you think of great things that you can do, but it's got to directly be tied to assisting low and moderate.
Of the closet, the medical closet at the senior center, and the ditching.
Okay.
I like the senior center project, doing a few things for the senior center for those people. As far as like the $150,000 ditching, the long span there, that's out of the realm. The small part would be better.
We could do it, but we as the township would have to put in the rest, as far as the money. So,
Right.
And
we're not just working just on 30% of that budget of the 111,917. So like you said, 33,000 is what we got to spend.
No, that 33,000 is strictly, that's what we can use for service projects. We have a total of 111,917 to spend. So if we wanted to do the ditching, the township would have to come up with the additional 39,000, and that would be the only project that we would do with this 3 years worth of money. So
And which, is that the long ditching project for the 39,000 or the shorter? Okay, for the
That's-
longer run, and that's over a 2-year period we're looking at.
3.
3.
I mean, we would
That's
use, we would
For the
use
ditching,
that-
because that hasn't been ditched in a long time. That's cheap in the long run.
Well, like I say, the township would have to, take 39,000 from our road budgets and put into it. And again, that would be all we would be able to do from, next year through 2024. So, I mean, and it's, it's whatever the pleasure of the board is, and that's something, I guess, Joe, that we'd have to look at the budget. I don't know. I mean, I know we have money set aside for roads, but, that's something we'd have to,
Bad
take a
is
look.
the ditches on that road. How bad is the flow of the water?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering too.
From the indication we have we rely on Alex Cook, the foreman of the Mount Rose Garage, to give us his opinion, because he travels the roads and he's responsible for the maintenance and upkeep of the roads. So he plays a big part in that when we sit down to meet. And his opinion at that particular time is that Neff Road could use it more than Wilson Road. In other words, from the bike path off of Liberty by Montague's Manufacturing, the Neff Road then runs south to Wilson Road.
Oh,
And
my apologies. I gave that information wrong. Thank you for clearing that up, Joe.
yeah, I think that's what Nancy was directing her attention at, that when you said that, yeah, it is Neff Road in that particular portion that runs from, and it's close to Liberty Street where it makes a big curve.
It's from that bike path parking lot on
Right.
Liberty.
Yeah, and goes all the way south to Wilson, which is approximately 3/4 of a mile. And that's ditching on one side only, so there's no misconception. Ditching, they can normally do 1,500 feet a day. And when you look at that way, it takes 3 days to do close to a mile, depending on how many driveways they have. And if you're not familiar with that particular area, there are very few driveways, so.
So that
That
was,
would be,
I just want some clarification for the meeting minutes because it has to be clear. Is that the $30,000 project?
Correct.
Yes,
Okay, because you had said Wilson Road Park to Neff, and I was like, that's
Yep.
only,
Yeah,
Like-
and that's why I say
Okay.
I made that mistake on that part, and I apologize.
no, I just
Yep.
want to make sure that it's clear that way it's eligible to
Yep.
be used for that, so.
Yep.
and that needs done more, so that would probably be potentially, should be done first and more cost effective.
well, looking at it, what Cindy's trying to, I think, at the point we're looking at now, is that ditching is probably the highest priority thing and lowest on the list, which means it costs so much that the ditching we do each year normally amounts to a mile. And right now, we've got over 450 miles of ditching that we are responsible for. So you can see what impact it has. We can impact the people in 2022 to 2024, maybe in various ways, but by putting these things on the table, we do have the opportunity to mull these over. We don't have to make a complete decision today, correct, Cindy? The decision is to put all these projects on the table and say, we have the opportunity to do what we pick and choose out of these, but we have to list them.
Right, this is the pre-application project. This is the paperwork that I have to fill in and send in Friday.
So it's not a definitive vote that you're making today. It's the fact that and we all seem to agree that those are important items. We haven't mentioned one thing that we know isn't near and dear to the hearts of the constituents. So now to the next year, we can start mulling them over and get actual estimates and say, okay, like Jeff said before, well, 150,000 is way out of proportion to what we have.
Joe,
and
we can't
take money out of our roads.
mull that over in the next year. It's probably gonna have to be done here, I'm gonna say by December, maybe. The
It's
December,
gonna be
I
on
don't,
December, it's gonna be on the December meeting.
right,
But I mean, we're just allocating funds. We can pass
Right.
resolutions to reallocate the funds at a later date. So-
That was my point. Thanks, Michelle, for making that.
Okay.
clear.
so
Sounds
that's
like everything's important to what we have to do on the agenda as far as everything we spoke about today. It's just picking the right one.
Right,
Right.
absolutely correct.
Well, I have a question for clarification.
the township does about a mile of ditching every year, right? What do we spend on that mile of ditching that we do? And have we figured out which mile we want to do this year?
We have not figured out, to answer the last part of the question. Alex is going to come back to us probably in the middle of December. And the 1 mile we get that one that the county is part of our contract. That's included.
So we can use a mile that has many driveways, or we can use a mile that has no driveways.
That's correct.
So our goal might be to ditch part of that 150,000 that Cindy talked about, because that has 30 driveways in it. You see what I'm saying? I mean, let's put it on the county for 30 driveways as opposed to putting it on us for 30 driveways.
That's a distinct possibility. I guess I'd have to get the response. And what it comes down to, Pam, it's not just a mile, it's 2 days of ditching. And so when Alex picks it, it's not necessarily 2 days. When you have a driveway, each driveway takes a particular amount of time to do. And so his comment was he could probably do 1,500 feet if it was loaded with driveways in those 2 days. And that's as far as we get. So normally when we do ditching that they give us, we try and eliminate as many driveways as we can so we can go a huge expanse.
But yet the other balance to that is you have more people impacted by ditching issues where you have more driveways as opposed to more farmland where you have no driveways.
Well, but it all takes care of traffic or water flow. And your point is well taken, but we can service 9 people in 2 days, or we can service 14,000 people by doing a mile.
Or one farmer.
Yeah.
That's a conversation I think we need to have, because I think it balances. Are we going to service those 9 people, or are we going to service one farmer?
Well, today we aren't going to solve that.
Right.
But
No,
when
it's
we
a
sit down with
conversation
Alex,
in the future, Joe.
yeah, Alex will be a major part of that conversation, Pam, as you can see. He'd be able to say, hey, this is what we can do, and no, or what a great idea. So
It's going to benefit
I'd want to
more
include
people.
him in that.
Yeah. Is there a lot of flooding in that area on that stretch of Wilson?
I don't know the answer to that. I'm sorry, Jeff.
I'm sorry, what's the question? Is there a lot of what?
Flooding? People's yards or anything like that, where it would be, people would be appreciative of that if there is.
On Wilson, when
Yeah.
it's wet and you're heading towards Saginaw Street on the north side, there's several houses that have a lot of standing water in their yard. On the south side, it's just a farmer's field. And yeah, when it comes to farming, if you've planted your field and you get flooded out, can be devastating. So I see both sides of it. But at this point, I would assume, I personally would go with how many people can we help, all the different houses on the north side that are affected by standing water.
Yeah, right there at that corner of Saginaw and Wilson, didn't they just put a new drain in right there, or a new culvert
No,
last summer, or did
No,
repairs there?
they just paved the road there, and they've got 2 catch basins on that corner. And for clarification, this is one of the odd things about this. The area that Cindy said that they expanded is only north of the center line of Wilson Road.
Right.
So it's one of those odd things where when they make a distinction, they don't say, okay, the entire road, they go to the center line of the road in this particular case.
Right. So that my shop's right there, and I see lots of water that flow from the racetrack down the ditches through there.
Mhm.
And it's a large amount of water because everything's downhill, and it all seems to reside right there in that one gentleman's yard on the corner and in the intersection in that area, if we do get a lot of water.
Yeah, and I'm gonna make this meeting, this public hearing go quicker. That's outside the jurisdiction that we're talking about.
Okay.
And
I
just
know.
so everybody knows too, MDOT roads for ditching, and this is because this is your first meeting on stuff like this. Vienna Road, Clio Road, Dodge Road, Saginaw, Elms Road are all considered county roads where they maintain the ditches. We do not have to spend a dime on those areas.
Okay.
So that, I hope that helps clarify things. So if it were Saginaw Street, Saginaw Road, Dixie, however we want to call it, that would be an MDOT jurisdiction. And if we call them and tell them there's a problem, they come out and take care of it. So that, I hope that helps you a little bit, that some of those roads that we don't take, and Linden Road too, I'm sorry, I omitted that one. But all those roads are maintained by the county on behalf of the state, and they pay all the cost, which is good for us. We're surrounded by good things like that.
Cindy, I have one other question. Because the census has been done and a lot of these tracks are, can be changed by the census numbers that we get, do we expect that that could possibly play into this, in that 2022 would really be the first year the census numbers are coming out?
You know, I'm not sure how this got changed, because it was changed with this, you know, funding. Did they use census numbers? I'm not sure. I don't know.
Good point. Could be impactful.
All I know is that they send out a map that has the entire Genesee County and each municipality, what areas are their low to moderate income. And I just saw ours and it's like, oh, it got a little bigger. So where they get.
Yeah, okay. The 2020 census numbers aren't out to anyone really yet at this point for which to base it on, but the 2022, when this actually starts, we should have those 2020 numbers.
Yeah.
Right, but this has already been determined, and how they determine it, I'm not sure, Pam.
Okay, all right. Was there a motion that's needed to do something with this, or how do we move forward now?
Well, we're in the public hearing right now.
Okay.
And once we get out of the public hearing, then we adopt what the potential plan that we've submitted is.
And then when do we choose what road you're gonna ditch? When does that get decided?
That would be in the December meeting where we have to approve which projects we want to utilize the 111,917.
So are those in the next minutes that'll say, it'll break down each of the things that you spoke about so that we know what we're gonna vote on?
Yeah, we can put that in the board packet.
Okay.
Cindy,
Keep in mind that you can allocate $200 to a project, and if you change your mind in a year, as long as it's on the resolution of allocation, you can reallocate 30,000 from something you choose not to do and allocate it. So we don't have 14 days to make 3-year decisions. We just have 14 days to put together a good plan of things that we want to include and allocate some dollar amount so that it's in the contract. And then over the course of 3 years, Cindy can do what needs to be done to reallocate and actually move forward with the projects.
And that's why I said, when you said to mull it over. Thanks for clarifying that, Michelle. That's what I was directing my attention to.
Cindy, I do have another question. On the low-income students that are qualifying for food assistance or food delivery, or, with COVID, that number is growing, that can't fall into this.
No, the reason being is because the students do not pay income tax.
Well, bless their little hearts. Okay.
Yep. Because I tried to get a couple of projects at the art center, and I think the sports complex too, that came up, and it's like, nope, they have to, if they don't pay income tax, that we can't put money towards that. So
Wow.
So feeding parents of poor students wouldn't work either then, apparently.
in that area, it would have to be strictly that area. And there's a list, there's lists of projects in that CDBG packet from each of the municipalities. And I believe there was one of them in there that was supplying a food pantry. Well, that food pantry, everybody knows, seniors or low moderate income folks, would utilize that. So it would be okay. But we don't, I've talked to Bruce in the past and asked him, how feasible is it to have a food pantry at the senior center? And he said it'd be great, but I have no room. We have the medical closet, which does, help them. So,
Can we partner with a local church that already has an existing food pantry? That has the room to add more? Could we do something along those lines?
Cindy, wouldn't the church have to be in that location?
no, oh boy, this part's a new one. There's something, I want to say there might be something with a nonprofit, but I don't know if the nonprofit would have to, supply information,
Yes, I'm sure they would.
how it would be determined that they could receive funding, and that would be under that public service money, the 33,000. What we can do is during this meeting is you tell me, because I know the Love Incorporated there at Bethany, they distribute food to needy folks. I don't know about the Clio, what's that? Clio Community, not the foundation, but the group that helps. Huh?
Service.
Community services.
Pam, you know the name of it, Clio.
Clio Community Services.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we could, we could talk about, we can add that to this list, and I can, all they're gonna do is say, nope, it's not acceptable, or it is, but at least it would be on the list, and it would be one of those, like I say, public service projects.
And we'd be helping the people directly of the community.
Mhm.
So Pam, what was that? Cloud Community Services?
Clio Community Services.
Okay. Yeah, because I can certainly, when I get back to work tomorrow, I can call Damon down at the county and ask him how that would go, if that's something that we could do, and see what he says.
The only other thing I can think of for students or for young people, especially in this area, are books, reading in books and that kind of thing. But I don't know that that's going to fall into any of these that I saw on the list originally.
You mean school books, or are
No,
you talking
no.
library books?
Well, you got the library, but I'm just talking book giveaways, books for kids. For kids in low-income areas who we know have more struggles than non-low-income areas. But
That
kids
one I'm
don't
not.
pay taxes, I know.
What
Well-
about iPads or something that they could use? Because they can get books online through Kindle and all of that stuff. There's a lot of free publications, so maybe iPads for kids that can't afford them or something. I don't know if that's possible.
Then you're getting into having to make sure they're hooked up with an internet.
True.
Well, and not even that, the parent, I believe, the parent would have to fill out one of those income surveys.
Right.
And how receptive people are gonna be to that, they might be, they might not be, and depending on if they met that threshold, they would either be eligible or not, so. It's tough, it's like, you can think of all kinds of projects, but then there's a lot of roadblocks with them, so. But I'm gonna ask about both of these. I'm gonna put these projects down. So did you say iPads, Laura, or?
Yeah, but I think you probably will run into a roadblock with the internet. I think that's a valid point. And then also, you probably would run into why'd their kid get one and mine didn't, kind of thing, possibly too down the road. So that would probably.
And again, they'd have to understand that it would be, income based and, but we can at least put it on the list, and I can ask. It never costs anything to ask, so.
What's the background noise?
Someone have a TV running?
No, heat's on.
TV?
Man, I might hear the TV. Let me check.
Even my dog is being quiet for half a minute.
Well, Murphy's sleeping, so.
That's mine is too.
A lot of good ideas today. A lot of good ideas.
So my question is, isn't the school, and Shelley, maybe you can answer this, isn't the school providing laptops or iPads for the students that need
Yeah,
them?
yes, they did a laptop distribution for all students, every student in Cloud schools. I think K through 4 got iPads, or K through 2 got iPads, and then the rest got laptops. I mean, they're not for use in the summer. They're gonna have to return it at the end of the year, but they do.
They
do,
leave.
and they gave internet packs to every student who didn't have internet capabilities.
So then the idea of having iPads probably isn't really,
Not, yeah,
Something
not
that-
needed then. Yep, that's
Okay.
great, yeah.
okay, I'll ask about the books and then the Cloud Community Service, the food pantry. Again, that's gonna fall under the public service money.
Which is the 30%.
Yes, the 33,000, yep. And again, we could, if that's something that we could do, we could allocate 10,000 to each one, or 33,000 to just one, or, I mean, we can allocate that 33 however we want. So-
Based on the fact that you had to give back money this time around, I would under allocate in those. So if we come up under budget on, let's say, the door at the township, and we have 3,000, we still have funds, that 33,000 available
Yeah,
for projects.
Yeah,
If we
yeah.
over allocate, then
yep.
we're
No, that's-
giving it back.
Yeah, no, that's a great idea. The only thing we have to keep in mind is that these projects now, they're saying minimum projects are $5,000 to be a first priority. If it's under 5,000, then it goes into a second priority. So as long as we don't go under 5, we'd be okay.
Right.
So the medical closet at the senior center, is that considered the 30 or the 70%?
That's
the
part of the
30%.
30.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, the medical closet, the operations, the food pantry, the books for low income, those would all be public service projects.
So you'd
Okay.
have to spend 5,000 on medical supplies, or else it would be considered a secondary.
Yep.
Wow.
Now, the other thing is we can also say, let's say the medical closet, if we decided, we could say, okay, we want to spend 5,000 in 2022, we want to spend 5,000 in 2023, and 5,000 in 2024. We can allocate it that way also, or we can allocate all the money in 1 year. Construction projects have to be done within 1 year.
Yeah.
So whenever I sign the contracts, then that project has to be done in a year. But yeah, those public service projects, we can decide, like even on the parking lot or any of those, what year we'd like to do those. So.
So what can we use the 70% on? The ditching, or is that still 30?
Yes, the construction. You can use it on the ditching. You could use it on the doors at the township. You could use it to repair the parking lot at the senior
Center.
Yep.
What about portions of the bike path that are in the township?
Nope, has to be in that low mod area.
But
I-
is there any sections of that in that
No.
area?
Just a small portion of the bike
Just
path that you're
very-
talking about, Nancy, just probably 200 yards.
And the idea
Because there are
that,
sections that are extremely dangerous there right now.
We're working on that too.
Yeah, I know.
Getting the 2 parking lots repaved, I had to do a lot of talking on that one to get it. I said, look, there's low to moderate income people use those. I mean, come on. So, yeah, they pushed it through for me. But that was kind of an iffy.
So do we have enough on the list now? That we will sure that we won't be sending any money back?
Oh, we won't be sending any money back. I mean, like I say, I mean, I feel real, I mean, because I've known some municipalities that have sent $10,000-15,000 back. So for us to just lose 2,000, I think that's the only time we've sent any money back since I've been at the township. So I feel pretty good about that. We do good. But yeah, there's plenty of stuff here that I think we'd be all right. It's just more of a to pick you guys' brains to see if there's anything that you can think. And this is about as quick as we think about this stuff in the office too. It's like, okay, we gotta, come up with this and then try to get, costs for it. And I don't know, does anybody else have anything else or?
There's nothing that can be done with the parks though, like as far as the sidewalks or anything like that.
No, that's the city of Clio.
That's the city of Cloud, totally, okay.
Yep, and they do not get CDBG funds anyways, so. Now, there was one thing I did notice, but again, and I don't know if I could push it through, but I might be able to, those 2 parking lots that we did get repaved, because they've kind of set a precedence, or maybe that bike path, that small portion of bike path there on Liberty. There was one of the municipalities in that list that had replacing their ADA compliant picnic tables. I mean, is it a thought that maybe we could, throw a couple of those in the Jennings Road, parking lot, Joe, or maybe that Neff Road, I don't know.
Neff Road doesn't avail itself too much for space. That's one of the problems there.
Right.
Yeah. But Jennings Road is not in the area.
But we got that, didn't we? Oh, no, the BDA paid for that. That's right.
Yeah,
Sorry.
BDA took care of that. We did Wilson and that.
Yeah, we just put that on, we tagged that onto the CDBG part. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyways, that, I thought that was kind of a ingenious thing, but they had parks within their municipality. And so that was a good thing for them.
Okay.
Did
I
anybody
think
else
the list you have, I think there's a lot of great things we can do with the money there.
Yep. Okay, we're still in the public hearing.
So does anybody else have any ideas or anything they want to put on this list? No. Okay, so is there any other public comment? Is there any other public comment? Is there any other public comment? Hearing no comments, I'd like to make a motion to close this public hearing at 10:13.
Second.
We have a motion and support. Any more discussion on closing the public hearing? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Thank you. And for those of you, the couple of us that are not familiar, it's necessary to shout it 3 times. It's
Yeah.
part of the deal. She's not baiting anybody. Okay, so item B2, COVID policy.
Go, Joe.
I'll look for a motion to approve the amendment to the COVID policy.
So moved.
Support.
We have a motion and support. We're in discussion now. The reason we're amending the COVID policy is we're trying to stay current with the current CDC policies. And in the past, we were very specific. It was the initial issues that MIOSHA put out. And, we followed HIPAA. Now things are constantly changing. With the amendment, this policy changes with anything the CDC says as we go forward. Is there any other discussion?
So
Hearing
this is
none,
gonna,
because it's a policy, I'm gonna need a roll. Oops, sorry, Cindy, what were you gonna say?
so then the way this is worded, if the CDC changes, which they've done since this whole thing started, our policy is gonna change with that, correct?
That's correct.
Our policy as it pertains to the employee returning to work. We did
Thank
not
you,
change
Michelle.
the other part of the
Well,
policy.
Yeah,
So
that,
it's only
yeah,
pertaining to the employee returning.
yep, I apologize. That's what I meant,
Yep.
but thanks for clarifying that.
Yep. So there's no other discussion. This requires a roll call vote.
Joe,
Yes.
Cindy,
Yes,
Pam,
Yes,
Jeff,
Yes.
Laura,
Yes,
Nancy,
Yes,
motion carried.
Okay, we don't have any other public comment because nobody's contacted us. Is there any board comment? If there is no board comment, thank you very much for taking time out of your day for this special meeting. We accomplished a lot. It's a good learning experience. God bless, and we'll talk to you.
wait,
Oops,
I'm
Nancy
sorry,
wants to say something.
I want to put something on the record. Our police officers and our fire department, you all know about the accident on Vienna Road last night. My son was involved in that. And they were great. They were all very professional and they did such a great job under a very bad situation. And I just want to go on record saying I'm glad we have them. I think Vienna Township is very lucky to have the fire department that we have and the police department that we have.
Thank
Okay.
you, Nancy. That's very well thought. God bless, and we'll talk to you on what day is our next meeting?
December
14th.
14th, 5:30 PM.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you.
bye.
goodbye.